Hi, my name is Stephen Hayet. If you want to learn more about my play, Joint Adventure, and the Talking It Out Festival, watch this video. I fell in love with the theater at a really, really young age. My grandma was a Broadway dancer. She was in the original cast of Pal Joey. So I actually have a picture of her dancing with Gene Kelly. And she told me a story about how she was young. I want to say like 16 or 17. She was in the ensemble, and Gene Kelly kind of took her under her wing, and it was one of the coolest things. And then when I was in elementary school, she would actually direct my elementary school play. So like my third grade Wizard of Oz musical when I played the Tin Man. So I always loved theater. She would take me to plays. She had season tickets at the Paper Mill Playhouse, she and my grandpa, and she'd take me to see a show. And I would sit up with her in their regular seats. And then my grandpa would have to sit all the way back in the orchestra with the one extra seat they got because she wasn't going to give up her orchestra seats. So I've always loved theater. It's been a part of my life and just shaped who I am. When I knew I wanted to be a part of it, I talked about writing for many, many, many years. In high school, I used to write sketches and things for different school projects, but I didn't start actually finishing plays till about 5 years ago. Before then, I was just a guy who talked about writing. But for me, I started finishing them 5 years ago. I wrote a short play, entered it, submitted it to the Midtown International Film Festival. My wife directed it and cast two of her friends. And it was just such an amazing experience. I was hooked. When did writing go from being an interest to an obsession? An obsession is a good way to put it. Again, I always loved writing. It's a really weird thing where while some people have like obsessions with like actors, I was always obsessed with the writers who wrote stuff. So being a young kid, my dad would introduce me to comedies like Abbott and Costello, and I remember Mel Brooks comedies and the Marx Brothers, and I used to love the bits and the comedy and how it was written and how the jokes were constructed, and I found that really fascinating. And then again, about 5 years ago, started writing, and it does become an obsession. My friends who know me know that I have a spreadsheet where I keep track of all my submissions, of where I send out different plays, different festivals, and how it's color coded and dated, and I have all these charts. I also have my MBA degree, and I actually started really getting into writing around the same time I was in my MBA classes. So those kind of skills kind of combined, where when I learned something new on Excel, I'd be like, how can I use this on my playwriting spreadsheet? So it was kind of both, but playwriting is an obsession in the fact that I love sending plays out. I love seeing different productions that people do it. I love getting to meet new people from all over the country and the world and this community. And it's a way that makes the world very small because we're all spread out all over. But through playwriting, I've been able to connect to people all over the place. My writing process, it really depends on the project. A lot of times I'll just have a random idea and I'll explore at it, I'll pick at it, I'll think about it for a while. I have lots of half-started Google Docs with just random notes about ideas that I had. Sometimes I'll see a theater reach out for plays on a specific prompt, and that'll interest me. Recently, I'm involved with the theater company, Roaring Epiphany Production Company, and they asked me to write 2 plays for them again this spring for Zoom. And the way they're doing that is they asked all the actors what kind of characters would they like to play, and they sent me a spreadsheet today of what their survey response is. And now I'm going to create a play based on characters that these actors want. So that's a fun challenge. So a lot of times my process, I'll start with either a prompt or I'll be given something and I'll write from there. Or sometimes a random idea will hit me as I'm driving to work and I'll be like, oh, this could make a fun play. And then during my lunch break, I'll sit on my laptop and start typing away or I'll make notes. But it really depends. Sometimes I outline, sometimes I dive right in. It really depends on what I'm trying to do. I heard about the Talking It Out Festival a couple years back. I'll be honest, the first time I submitted, I wasn't accepted. So I'm very, very, very excited to be a part of it this year with my play Joint Adventure this March, and then in July with my play Dinosaur. It seemed like such a great cause, and raising awareness for mental health and talking about different issues. I feel that in our country, when it comes to mental health, there's this stigma, and we only have this because people aren't willing to talk about it and share their experiences. And theater is an amazing way to communicate ideas. Um, a lot of times, we only become exposed to different things based on what we see on TV or on stage. So by Anthony creating this festival, and this year with it being on Zoom, so that people anywhere can see it. You don't have to be in New York City at this specific time. You can be on your couch and check it out, which I think is amazing. And that's one of the cool things about Zoom theater this year, is that it's so accessible to anyone everywhere, is that we get to hear of all these different issues and talk about them and reduce the stigma for them, because mental health shouldn't be a stigma. It should be something that we're able to talk about freely and share about, because when you keep your problems in, it only makes it worse, doesn't benefit anyone. So to have this theater festival, it's just such a joy to be with all these playwrights who are creating such honest and important work, and being able to share it with people, and also the money from the tickets going to such a good cause. It's just a joy to be a part of this. So why did I have to write Joint Adventure? The short answer is because a friend asked me to. So the story Joint Adventure deals with a granddaughter and her grandfather who has Alzheimer's. And a friend approached me asking me about writing a play based on Alzheimer's, for a mental health festival that she was planning on putting in. And she gave me some ideas of things she kind of wanted to include. So while I based a lot of it on my own experiences with my grandfathers, there are some things in here which were just fun ideas that we had of where we could explore. And so I guess why did I have to write it? It was because I was asked to, but it's more than that. I wanted to tell a story about Alzheimer's that wasn't just sad. Because most of the times I see plays or movies or TV shows that deal with someone with Alzheimer's, they portray it in a very sad way. And Alzheimer's is a very peculiar illness. There are times where things happen that are very funny, but there's also sadness. But I also want to portray the person as human. And I want to try to portray the realness of an individual with Alzheimer's. So that was kind of my goal and why I wanted to tell the story this way. The main premise of Joint Adventure is that there's a man, Jim, a grandfather, who lives on his own. He has a home help aide who's there during the week. But on the weekend, the family members take care of him. And this Saturday, Emily, the granddaughter, is assigned to watch her grandfather. So it's that day that Emily has to take care of him. And she's upset because she'd rather be somewhere else with friends, but instead she has to take care of her grandfather. And I base this on my life with one of my grandfathers, where Fridays was my family's responsibility, where we would watch him. He would have an aide for most of the week, but she would go home on the weekends, and Friday was our day, and how we'd take care of him. We'd have dinner with him. We'd watch Get Smart, was one of his favorite shows. And probably if there is a nice thing about having Alzheimer's, is that you can watch the same episodes every time, and it's the first time you've seen them. So I've probably seen the first season of Get Smart probably 20 or 30 times, but my grandpa would laugh hysterically at the episodes every time, because it was just like he's seeing it for the first time. He knew he loved Get Smart, but he didn't remember what happened week to week, and he would love it. So I based the story kind of on my experiences of having to take care of my grandfather, and through this Emily character and her grandfather, Jim. I got to go to the first rehearsal, and I'm really, really excited to see how they do. Anthony did an incredible job casting, and it was actually the first time I've heard this play out loud. So I had written it, I had sent it off to a few different festivals, but this was the first time I actually got to see actors bring it to life, and they're doing a truly phenomenal job. And I'm really excited to see the finished product, and for all of you to see the finished product when it airs. What do I want the audience to get out of this play? I want them to get out of the humanity of having Alzheimer's. And, well, I guess when people get older and they start to deteriorate physically and mentally, I've seen amongst friends and other family members that they often get viewed as a burden, not a person. There's something that needs there's someone that needs to be taken care of, but they're not the person that they were. And I want to still capture that humanity. Um, Emily goes to take care of her grandpa, and this is a chore that she has to do when she first arrives. And throughout the story, I want to build upon the connection that she had. Um, my grandfather, one of my grandfathers who had Alzheimer's, was married to my grandma, the Broadway dancer. And during their life, she was always the alpha, this very vivacious spirit. And my grandpa was more of the quiet scene partner. And then when she passed away when I was in college, and when my grandpa was living on his own, actually, while we were taking care of him those Fridays, were some of the most honest and heart-to-heart conversations I had with him. And I got to actually spend time with him, just the two of us. So I wanted to capture the humanity. I also wanted to acknowledge some of the ridiculously funny, sad, funny moments that come with Alzheimer's. I'm not going to tell you some of the things that happen in the play. Some of them are based on true stories of things that have happened. Some I took some leeway with. But a true story from my life is my sister's 10 years younger than me. And I remember once she's playing chess with my grandfather who has Alzheimer's. And we thought teaching him how to play, but then we realized he's beating her. My dad comes up to me and says, I've never seen your grandfather play chess in all 50 years I've been alive. So his short-term memory is not great, but for some reason he still remembers the rules of chess, which he hasn't played in decades and a half a century, well enough to beat someone else at it, which I found kind of hysterical and kind of in a funny way of the mind is just fascinating and how it works. So I wanted to try to capture some of that as well. The thing I'm really excited about seeing this festival is hearing all the other playwrights' stories. I got to record a podcast recently and see all of them face to face, which is great. Another fun thing about Zoom is that even though we're all scattered throughout the world, being able to see face to face and talk to each other, it was great. And hearing each playwright's different perspectives and approaches to different issues. While my play talks about Alzheimer's, there are plays about a whole variety of different issues and very varied. And it's exciting that it's not going to be a one-note festival. Audiences are going to get an incredible variety of issues and approaches to it, from homelessness to anxiety, but get this variety of theater and getting able to see this experience. So I'm really looking forward to actually seeing all the plays. I intentionally did not go to the first read through because I want to be surprised on opening night myself. Why should the viewers watch Talking It Out Theater Festival? There are many reasons, and I covered a couple of them tonight. One, it goes for such an important cause. Half the proceeds go to a mental health charity for mental health awareness, which is very important in combating the stigma. But also importantly, it's important to support the arts. For theater right now, during the pandemic, stages are closed. So many of these actors, what they do for a living, they haven't had a chance to perform on stage and do what they're trained to do. And this Zoom play festival, we originally thought we might be able to have it in person when I first was accepted. But of course, it's for March, it's better to be online. But the best part of that is now wherever you are, you can watch it from your phone, you can watch it from your laptop, and see live performance, which is such an important thing, especially now. During the pandemic, when we were trying to deal with everything that was going on, we turned to the arts. We turned to it for comfort, we turned to it for escape, and to these talented actors that Anthony assembled, the talented playwrights that are getting to tell their stories, if you have the opportunity, I highly, highly, highly recommend. I'm not going to say must go because I don't know your life and your schedule, but I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend you check it out. It'll be an incredible experience. Why are events like Talking It Out Festival so important? It brings people together. That the theater world is very small. And the reason it is because we come together to do these productions And then we go our separate ways at the end, like at the end of Ocean's 11, after we complete this big heist. We all meet up, do the job, and then go our separate ways, and we all mix and mingle and meet people. And this festival, Tanthi's doing it 3 times this season, brings a group of people together to create something. And theater is very cool in that it's created, it's in the moment, and then it's gone. This production that we're doing right now is something that's going to happen, and you might see other productions of these plays, but it'll never be this production that we're doing right now. So it's really awesome that he brings everyone together. And again, why this festival is important, besides theater in general being important, the subject matter of what we talk about different mental health issues and combating the stigma, and not just talking about it, but helping to raise money to help people with mental health issues. It's just such an important thing all around. My name is Stephen Hayet. If you enjoyed this conversation about my play, Joint Adventure, and the Talking It Out Festival, I strongly recommend you go check us out. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. You could follow the festival, see the links, get tickets. It'd be a night. You can have your friends. We can do a Zoom party and watch together. It'll be a lot of fun. I highly recommend you check out the Talking It Out Festival.